Welcome back, guys, for another cryptocurrency market update video. We've got quite a lot to get through in this one. You guys know that we have a real turbulent week ahead of us, not just for crypto, but for all markets and really global monetary policy. The FX market, it's all going on this week. And we have continuously maintained our bias now for months that we think that the bottom isn't in and that we're going to see further downside. And I want to make this comment very quickly. We've got some really interesting things to get into in this video. We're going to be heading over to Twitter. This was shared by the altcoin Psycho, talking about what the Fed essentially released recently. Now, we know we're going to find out on Thursday whether we are officially in I say we, I am in the UK, but, likely everything is going to follow suit from America. We're going to find out on the 28th whether we're actually in a recession. So on Thursday, we'll know. Or Friday, we'll know, or Thursday, we'll know whether we are or are not in a recession. It's the FOMC tomorrow, which is a big day. We've covered all these things and really told you to keep an eye out on them. And the government released this talking about what is a recession. So they know, they're giving you an idea that, look, it's probably going to be pretty bad data that we get that's going to confirm our bias that we are already in a recession. How do markets react? This is something that we've spoke about in great length. They don't do well. And you've got to remember, crypto has never faced this. And this is one reason why I don't think bottom callers shouldn't be listened to. But, you've got to understand that there's far greater forces at work here than the cryptocurrency market in its own merit. Crypto, in terms of adoption, in terms of an industry, in terms of evolution, has never been in a stronger place. Price doesn't reflect that because price is driven by overall liquidity, which is getting taken off the table. We also have shorts for essentially the tech sector reaching inflows of kind of, the biggest inflow since it started, this ETF, which is a kind of exchange vehicle that allows you to capitalize off downside. So we will talk about all that. I want to make this, I saw quite a few comments yesterday going, I'm sick of how bearish you've become and I'm sick of, kind of feels like you're footing the market. No, I'm not at all. I'm trying to be as honest as I possibly can with where I see this market going. And there's been many people out there that have been better off for it. At the end of the day, one big difference between me and other people that make YouTube content is I don't rely on it for an income. So I have the ability to tell you the truth, even if you don't like it, or some of you don't like it. And we don't get everything right. In fact, we get a lot of things wrong. As a trader, I get so many trades wrong, but I'm still profitable, and that's really the thing that keeps me in the game. And it is significantly, it's more than most. But I'm just telling people what I see. I think Bitcoin could get a little bit of a bid here. I've kind of alerted people to that. We're out of our shorts for now, but we will look to re-enter. If you want to find out more about that, go on to my Patreon. Trading is just a very small part of what we do within the Patreon. We're really an investment group in regards to, we're looking at capitalizing on this really new, exciting, emerging market that is going to come into fruition over the next sort of 5 years or so, and has already started that journey. But ultimately, I think Bitcoin could get a bit of a bounce. It was an annoying day. Before we get into some of the news, we also have the US SEC probing into Coinbase over unregistered securities allegations. And I want to remind people about the fact that Mt. Gox essentially will be giving back Bitcoin to some of the holders that had their Bitcoin stolen from them, I believe in August. I think this is going to be a pretty significant sell pressure. It makes sense if many of these people bought their Bitcoin at $500 that they would now sell it here after sort of not having that money or access to that Bitcoin for so long. So I just don't see why, and so many people calling it, bottom callers are continuing to kind of crusade for a bottom. But yesterday, talking about Bitcoin's price action was a bloody frustrating day in regards to trading because, we were obviously, you guys know that we were shorting up here, went really well, and then we had this big spike here, shorted again, and we're down here. Potentially, given where you've kind of fallen, you may get another spill here, but I do see some sort of a relief, and I'm not talking about a prolonged rally here, some sort of a bounce. You've already had your wick. I'm just removing that draw. You can already see you've had a wick down to this area. You may get some sort of upward continuation. I wouldn't be surprised if it does something like this, and then we see that capitulation going in into tomorrow. But we will see. May not happen, and we may have to sort of chase shorts on the break of this trend line. You break this trend line, guys, you're coming back down here, trying about 17K. You break this. The real issue that you have moving forwards, as you can see, we're really just consolidating between these two areas of consolidation that we made on the way up. Got this void here that we're really just filling in. We come back below this, we're looking at these levels down here, and we do have lower price targets set for Bitcoin and of course the altcoin market. That's really one thing that I'm adamant that I'm going to get right is when to accumulate this market. Nobody's ever going to perfectly time the bottom, but at the end of the day, I am a huge believer in the cryptocurrency market and where it's going. And I'm going to try and accumulate as much crypto as possible at a cheaper price moving into the future. I think this is going to be, we spoke about this yesterday. It's a $1 trillion market cap, just under $1 trillion now. It's going to get into the 10s, 20s, 30s, trillion dollars in terms of a market cap. And I'm going to be along for that ride and hopefully pick out the altcoins that are going to do well within that journey or on that journey. So this is from the Psycho. The Fed is giving obvious clauses that Thursday's GDP report will be bad. Brace yourself for a volatile week ahead. We made a video a couple of weeks ago now saying, look, we're going to officially find out whether we're in a recession from the Bureau of Economic Analytics, on the 28th of this month. A recession is just defined by 2 negative quarters. The Fed essentially, or the government, released this. What is a recession? Well, some maintain that 2 consecutive quarters of falling real GDP consists a recession. That is neither the official definition nor the way economists evaluate the state of business cycle. That has always been the defining factor for a recession. 2 negative quarters of growth. It says instead, both official determinations of recession and economic assessment of economic activity are based on holistic look at data, including the labor market, consumer and business spending, industry production. So they're basically going to try and cheat, just like the CPI stats that are totally manipulated, by the way. Inflation is significantly higher than what they're telling you it is. I told you I went down to London last week, so one reason I didn't make videos. I was also spent a bit of time in the West Midlands. And London's far more affluent area than many of the areas within the West Midlands. And even in London, they're feeling the pinch of things. And shopkeepers are noticing people are less sort of frivolous with spending. And that's in a very affluent area. So, them releasing this with the sort of turn of, we're getting the data out on Thursday, kind of makes me think they're trying to kind of abort the course of us being in a recession. But I do believe that we are indeed already in a recession, going into more of a significant one. Just very quickly, because you guys are all sick and tired of me bringing this up, you got to remember that Bitcoin, and we've had this on for a while, we were called, and it wasn't our draw. We were saying, look, we agreed with the fact that this was a head and shoulders. We didn't point this out. It was pointed out by somebody called the market sniper, Francis Hunt. He said we agreed with that. It's paid us so far to be in that kind of cautious bias. But if you look at going on to the weekly, Bitcoin essentially has been in the kind of conditions where markets have just gone up. We've never had to enter a recession like down here or here. And I think that may be the kind of story that we see for the equity market. And of course, the cryptocurrency market is likely to roll with that. So it's going to be very, very interesting how we act. Ultimately, again, no doubt in my mind that crypto eventually recovers. But I think we've got a little bit of turmoil in getting to that kind of bottom and recovery. And this just, for me, is not a clear bottoming structure. Everybody's drawing this bear flags now. We said this is a likely play, just like this one and this one. And we're going to see that downside. And we're still on that bias, not footing the market, not trying to depress people. It's just the direction that I see these markets going in over the short term. We also have this. This is the Ultra Pro Short QQQ, which I think is essentially the NASDAQ short, the QQ. QQQQ, I think, is the NASDAQ. It is a NASDAQ ETF. But so this will be a short version of it. So this is size of flows for short tech stocks. ETF have ramped up. The Ultra Short QQQ ETF registered the biggest inflow since inception. That was... This was released yesterday. Why are we seeing so many shorts enter the markets? Just like we looked at Bitcoin and its open interest, and it's continued to support, your open interest has really done this. Ethereum, we had a bit of a pullback, which would just be shorts closing. But if it continues to do this, your price action is doing this, and your open interest is going up. That shows you that the trend is still very much intact. We are going to get into a lot more trading. Trading is a big part of what I do. Yes, I'm an investor. Yes, I'm a cryptocurrency commentator, and I love this space, but I'm also a trader. And I really want to get into a lot more of that content with people that are interested in it. For people that aren't, well, you know, we give these daily market updates and we go into individual cryptos and have many of them or some of the founders of them on the show quite regularly. The US SEC essentially is probing Coinbase over unregistered securities. Is this going to cause the next wave of selling off? Potentially. You know, at the end of the day, the SEC is yet to give any kind of regulatory clarity. And I think when they do give regulatory clarity, there are going to be casualties of it, and they are going to find certain cryptos as securities. How that's defined, we're yet to see. And this is something that you guys need to essentially pay attention to, guys. Will release of 3 billion Bitcoin from Mt. Gox cause the market to bottom in August. So essentially, this is coming in August. I've probably taken up too much of your time already, guys. If you have enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated, so is a comment. And I'll catch each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gents, and I'll see you in the next one.